I remember coming to a curve. I lost control of the car.
I thought everything that I had is gone.
The life of everything, the life of the party, to that, it's quite difficult.
Vito ra mina I Floyd Ngobeni, ni huma Polokwane, but as a young child ni huma Hluvukani. Ni kule family of 5, kuri papa, mama, and then mina lonkulu, 2 younger siblings, kuri sesi na a little brother. But papa mina as mkarwa khale yena ari Joburg, so you could say mama. Axikolweni ni kule ni tlharihe ngopfu a ni ri nkarhi wa hina a ku ri na nkarhi wa ku ri va veka ti-students based on performance. A ku na ri number 1, a ku nga ri just pass or fail. So I was always top 3. And tsundzuka primary school Hluvukani va ni promotile a va ni say 1 standard I hate because I'm kuma number 1 all the time. But then so that loko nyawo spread near 2 standards back because Andre I hate of my age group. And then nakona antlarihile, I mean anendla grade 6, it was more of a repeat course for me because anendlile. But natle ni pase kahle, ni wine the best math student. Antlarihile neka grade 7, ntle ni wina futhi. My first drink sungule kona kwalani ka grade 7. Did not show me a mina. After I passed and so forth, you could celebrate. That was the first time sungula kunwa ni dakwa. From there, near high school, performing kahle from grade 8, and then met Olympiad as well. It was from kahle, but then sungule kunwa futhi. Although under active as kolweni na sports, most weekends Andre kunweni kajwala na chomta mina. The high school marks tamina, they were below average. Loko nino most of the time anta wena usuka koranga ni vontikhela, although aswitiva anga swi rhandzi. It continued throughout high school. Fortunately, I never got caught at high school, although I was still I think the reason I didn't go for so is because it was, at first I got you are cool. You're not so cool. You were an idiot. You were as if you were a nerd. The girls didn't like you. You were a loner. You were excluded from the crew. So you feared nothing. I feared nothing. I could do anything. I was funny. I was always a bad dancer. And I had attention from people. And for me, that felt better than being in my room studying or advancing my life in any way. Since I made it through, Nisuke University, I apply that course hoping maybe by that December I studied hard enough to pass as I used to learn one, but it did not happen. I was fortunate to pass a university entrance because I knew almost every day. As expected, first year, they exclude will. It's a story to vets. I don't go to Shire and then when they readmit. First, I think semester went well, and then I went back into drinking. I couldn't have pub just outside the school, so on the way to school you take 1 yana, after school you take 1 yana. And as expected again, I got excluded for the second time. That's when I left to go to Pretoria and get a UNISA. Because I never computer, so I went to Kushasat computer, where I would learn to build computers, fix computers. So I did that time during the day, and then I would study while doing computer science at UNISA. Needless to say, I went back to drinking heavily every day. UNISA na kona, it lasted 2 years. And then nisuka ni muka ni Apulukwane to open a business, an internet cafe. The end of December, and I made a small loan at 20,000. At the time, 20,000 was quite a lot of money from my mother because she had hopes that maybe I had changed. It was December and we were planning to open in January. Shavile, he said, Apa, half of the money I sell, nisuna kuyino in December. Nino, suna kshasa stock shali internet cafe. January, there was no more internet cafe. 1 month later, I left Polokwane, Nita Gauteng. In hindsight, I think the reason I left in January was because I could not explain myself. Naturally, my mother was very, very disappointed. She believed in me so much, but she never gave up. I could see the tears in her eyes. I felt it's like a disappointment. When I came into Joburg, I was 23. I got a job in a call center in Randburg. Lunchtime, I'd go to a bottle store, fill up the cooler bag with alcohol for 4:30 to drive out drinking. To me, it seemed normal, but all I went for was the alcohol. There were nights where we'd call them Foolish Thursdays, where I would go out and drink, go back home in the morning, take a shower, go to work and work the whole day drunk and continue the rest of the Friday night. Things were going well, and then I started making money again. And then the cycle started. But it didn't last long because then I got back with my ex, and then I was pregnant. So I was trying to change my life in a way to be ready to be a father. So for me, alcohol made me feel brave. It made me feel invincible. So that's the feeling that I wanted.
He was in ICU for 39 days.
I could feel, Kuri, I'm not into this.
Let's learn from one another. Let's go. Let's learn from one another. Let's go.
2011, July, I got a promotion. It was after a year and a few months. And then I remember that same week, I said, let me go out one more time to my friends and drink and celebrate. On a Friday morning, I woke up. It was a smooth day. People were congratulating me. And then after work, I thought to myself, let me get alcohol and stay home and just be with myself. But a part of me is like, no, go to Joburg and celebrate. And on my way to Joburg, my spirit didn't really want to. Naloko at the club, I didn't really want to be there. I felt like leaving. I could feel, Kuri, I'm not into this. It's okay before my friend finished DJing, left the club near Ngobeni, and I actually slept in the car because I was drunk, and I thought, let me sober up a bit. And when I looked, my friend was driving his car behind me. He said, let's go. So I was going to follow him to sleep at his place. With the alcohol in my system, a blurry night, and I just drove as I was driving fast. I remember coming to a curve. I lost control of the car and I hit the wall of the complex of where my friend stayed. I just remember when my friend came and he said, open the door. I tried to open the door, and my fingers were just not strong enough. When they said open the door, my first plan was to open the door and run away, because I knew that the alcohol content was going to be extremely high. I'd been a few accidents naturally as a drunkard, but nothing quite as hectic as this. My friend was there with me. He was the one calling family and friends. My mother was in Limpopo. He had to call her to come as it was bad.
Arriving at the hospital, my son was lying there, and his dad was there. Then I spoke to the nurses, and then the condition where he has sustained a spinal cord injury. Being a nurse, it triggered to me, it might happen for my son, and I have family.
They did 2 operations. The first one went successfully well. I dislocated my spinal bones again, and they had to go in and do another operation, which is what sent me into a coma.
He was in ICU for 39 days, changing condition.
I eventually did wake up. I woke up with tubes through my nose to feed me through my mouth to breathe.
I remember this day where his tummy just decided to distend, just like that.
They had to do operations into a colostomy bag. And when they removed the pipes from my nose and mouth, they had to do a tracheostomy. So I've been breathing from that for the past 9 years.
And the doctor spoke to me, Baku, we don't know, or is he going to walk or not now?
When my mom saw me, or when I saw her for the first time in hospital, when my eyes opened, I could smile, but I could see the pain in her eyes. And she had lost weight already. It was shocking. She could hardly move.
You see me like this, I was very, very thin. I couldn't eat. I felt I can't eat while my son was not eating there. Lying down there, not being able to communicate with him, it was difficult.
It made me feel worse than the time I took her money and drank it instead of starting a business. It made me feel more and more of a disappointment to her.
I thought everything that I had is gone.
Got moved to the rehab center where I had to learn how to use a wheelchair with the hopes that I'm going to walk again. So the rehab center was a wake-up call, because that's where I got to spend time by myself and plan my future and say, this is what I want from life. This is who I want to be. I got there pretending to be in high spirits, but deep down fearing that I will not walk again. But at the same time, my prayers were that if I'm going to be the same person I was, then I don't want to walk. I lasted there 8 weeks at rehab center, and then I went home.
I had to prepare for him. So I ended up I gave him a bath, yes, several times, but I did not feel good because he's a man, he's not a child.
It was surprising seeing the love that she had, taking care of me over and, again. She made sure that I got the help that I needed when she was not there. She changed her whole life. She sacrificed herself, had to buy a bigger house so that I could stay there. I was hiding myself. I changed my numbers. When people would call, my mother would say, no, don't give them my number. I was quite ashamed of what I had done to myself. I felt like I wanted to wait until I walked before I could deal with the world. After my accident, when I was in Polokwane, I had to come back to work in 2014. So I had needed a place to stay. with someone obviously who will be able to assist me without judging, etc. And Monty, as a friend, was there for me. I stayed with him.
Decided to come back to Joburg, then he decided to live with me. He came to my house, we're living together. That was not so bad because he came with a helper, but as time went by, there was no helper or anything like that, so we had to do everything ourselves.
He's never judged. Like I said, he's been there for me physically, he's been there for me emotionally.
I would put him in the bath, he would bath himself. I would give him the diaper, and then he would put it on himself. But I'm there to witness these things. So you must know, I must say, at times I couldn't even look. It's not something that you can just sit and look and just be comfortable with. To this day, honestly, it's not comfortable to see your friend like that. I mean, the person that was the life of everything, the life of the party, he's the one who's always got something. Let's do this, let's do that. You know, to that, it's quite difficult as a friend to see that.
Whenever I have an emergency at work, he would leave his job during the day and come pick me up and take me to hospital or to home because I was still not strong enough.
I mean, I would be driving him to the hospital sometimes. He would be laying on my lap, literally.
I even told him one day when I was in a lot of pain, you know, Monty, death would have been better. Because with this kind of things, I always thought you go big or you go home. It's either you live or you die.
He had said that before. I always went against it. But I saw his struggle, his pain, and I was like, in my head, I thought maybe death would have been better than this.
Now, because I was in control again, I started drinking again.
To not abuse alcohol, to not abuse substances, period.
One another, let's go. One another, let's go.
I met a lady when I was at the rehab center.
Floyd opened his eyes. Here's my wife. That's how the relationships started. They were together. So they came, we stayed together like I
got married in 2016. I got a job afterwards as a financial advisor, obviously because of what happened to me, to obviously tell more people of preparing for such events. So in 2017, we were able to afford to get a house, and I had my freedom again, and I started making money again. And the person I was married to was quite a sweet person. I was out in the world, the attention was there, but attention without the alcohol was not the same. Now, because I was in control again, or so I thought, I started drinking again. You know, it caused problems in my marriage to a point where 2019, I think I hit a brick wall. This time it was more mental than anything.
When he came to Joburg, he was sick. They told me that it was like he was depressed. So I looked for a doctor here who was seeing him. I
think the trauma from all those years, it finally hit me because I never dealt with the trauma. The marriage ended this year, February, because I was doing to her what I did to my mother all throughout all those years and to myself. To be honest, I could say that the alcohol broke my marriage, but in hindsight, I think I started running away from the fact that I was told that I might not be able to have kids. I didn't feel like I was meant enough for it. Yeah. So. I decided to stop drinking last year. I haven't drank since. It's almost a year now. That day when I said I'm quitting alcohol last year, it was for a good reason. I've seen the damage it does. It has damaged me, put me on a chair. And even then I did not listen. It damaged my marriage. So when I was in hospital, the first thing I thought about when I woke up was my son. I had not made any arrangements for such things, for my son. So the one thing that I wanted to do was stay alive long enough to save for my son, to make sure that even if I'm not there, he will be able to get proper education. My son was my driving force behind everything. He was the reason behind me fighting to live.
Do not abuse alcohol, do not abuse substances, period. Abuse anything, whether it's drugs or alcohol. I mean, if you drink and then you are able to drive, or you are basically impaired, you have no business being behind the steering wheel. Or if you're drunk, you are abusing people and things like that. That is wrong. If it were up to me, I would say just don't do it, period.
For me, the peer pressure of wanting to fit in, of seeking attention, of sacrificing myself for the crowd, it's not worth it. It's always an inner voice that speaks to you. It's your conscience, it's your God. Listen to it. There's a saying that says, suffer now and enjoy the rest of your life, or enjoy now and suffer the rest of your life. It's quite true, because I've enjoyed, but when I look at the rest of my life, there's still a long way to go. And it has not been an easy road the past 9 years.
If you're still under the sun and living, there's still hope. There's still hope. So looking back at the times when we're talking about, hey, I feel like I should have died, etc., etc. Now life is just so much better. Complete 360, if you ask me. There's a lot to look forward to. He's got a bright future ahead of him.
Eka n'wina vatswari van'wana lava ni nga na vana lava va nwaka. I know ku some of you don't know ku ri n'wana wa wena u wa nwa. Like na mina swi ni tekele nkarhi ku ni nga swi tivi. Ku ri what you need to do, please, a hi voneni ku ri hi fikelela vana va hina. Let's come closer to our children. Ku hi va tiva ku ri i va mani. And if u ri na n'wana loyi a nwaka byala, there is nothing called social drinking. Please try to talk to your child ku ri a swi sukeli, because loko va nga endli tano, they will end up, maybe va nga fortunate, they will end up dying. Mina was fortunate. Yes, Floyd is on a wheelchair, but he's alive. What if one when I have an accident all over? So please, let's talk to our children. Let's teach them.